What's up guys, Perry from Rockville here, and today I'm going to show you how to set up your Flex rack stand. This stand comes in 3 different colors of dark wood like this one here. It also comes in a classic wood color and a black wood cover, but the setup for each of these are the exact same. You also got 24 steel tubes to customize the size of each tier. You also have all of the hardware to assemble the stand together. We also have 3 different foot options for the bottom of the stand, and then the 4 tubes to put the feet on. And for the top of the stand, you have 4 Allen key screws and an Allen key to lock it all in place. So to begin our setup, we can start by assembling the feet for the stand. To start, I'm gonna take all of the feet tubes and I'm gonna grab 4 of these screws here. I'm gonna take each screw and screw it onto each foot, just like this. There's screw holes on each side of the foot tube, so it doesn't matter which one you wanna use when attaching the screw. Once you have the screws attached to each tube, you can take one of your shelves here and go to the bottom of the shelf. Line up each tube to the holes here on the bottom of the shelf, just like this. For now, we're gonna use the rubber feet to put onto the bottom of the tube, but like I said, there are 2 other options that we can use, and we're gonna circle back to that in a bit. After you've lined up each foot, you can place the shelf down just like this so we can move on to setting up the other tiers. So now that we've got the bottom tier all set up, we can move on to setting up the next tier using these tubes here. So they come in a few different sizes, so we have 4 small tubes, 4 medium tubes, 8 regular tubes, and 4 extra long tubes. So you can use any of these depending on how much room you want inside of each tier. For example, if I wanted to set up this next tier on the smaller side, I'm gonna use these 4 tubes here, line up the bottom of each tube to the screw on top of the shelf, just like this, and screw it on. Next, I can take 4 more screws and line them up to the top of the tubes and screw them on. Then I can take the next shelf, line up the holes on the bottom of the shelf to the screws on top, just like this, and slide it in. And now we have the second tier all lined up, and we can move on to setting up the 3rd tier. Now say I wanted some extra room for this next tier here, I can grab the extra long tubes and line them up to the screw heads just like this, and screw them on. Then I can take 4 more screws and screw them on to the top of the tubes. Then I can take the next shelf and line it up to the top of the tubes like this. And now I've got the 3rd tier all set up with some extra room in the middle for any of our taller items. So you can set up these tiers any way that fits best in your setup, whether you need extra room like in this middle tier or smaller room just like the one below. For the last tier, I'm gonna use one of the regular size tubes and line them up to the screw heads like this. Screw it on. For this tier, we don't need the screws, so we're just going to line up our last shelf here to the top of the tubes like this. Now to keep the top shelf in place, we're gonna grab the 4 Allen key screws here and line them up to the screw holes on top like this. Then you're gonna tighten these screws by using the included Allen key to lock the top shelf in place. And now the rack stand is all set up and ready to go. Now we also have the option to customize the feet for the rack stand depending on what type of surface we rest the stand on. So I'm gonna flip the stand around to show you how to add the other feet. So right now we have the feet attached to the stand, which would be good to use for hardwood floors or delicate surfaces. We added these rubber feet at the beginning, so to take them off, we're just gonna pull up on each foot, just like this. After we do that, you'll see these screw holes on each of these tubes here, and this gives us the option to add either the caster wheels or the carpet spikes. So if we wanted to make the stand more mobile and easy to move around, we can add the caster wheels. Or if you wanted to rest the stand on your carpet or rug, you can use the carpet spikes. First, I'm gonna show you how to add the caster wheels. So before attaching the wheels, we actually recommend locking each wheel in just by pressing down on the lock here, like this. Then you can line up this screw of the wheel to the screw hole on the tube, just like this, and screw it on, and repeat to attach the other wheels onto the stand. So once you have each wheel attached, you can flip the stand over, and to use the caster wheels to move the stand, you can just lift up on each of these brakes here and then you can push it around and place the stand wherever you'd like. Then once you have it all set and you want the stand to be locked in place, you can just push down on the brakes for each wheel. Now let's say you wanted to set up your stand on a rug or a carpet, you can use the carpet spikes here. Each of these spikes have these nuts here, so before adding them to the tubes, we're just going to lower the nut just like this. Then we're gonna line up the screw of the spike to the screw holes on top of the tubes and just screw them on like this. From here, you can flip over the stand and place it on your rug or carpet. But in case the stand is uneven once you place it onto your rug or carpet, you can use these nuts that are attached to the spikes to even it out. So if we wanted to lower each spike, we can start by loosening up the nut. This will give us more room to screw the spike further into the tube like this. And if we wanted to raise the stand, we can loosen the spikes like this. And then we're gonna bring the nut further down by tightening it. And you can do this for each spike until the stand is even in your setup. Lastly, if you wanted to add the rubber feet instead of the spikes or the wheels, you're just gonna remove either the spikes or the wheels if you had them attached. Then you can take each rubber foot and slide it onto each of the tubes, just like that. Now, if you wanted to add an additional tier to your rack stand, you can actually purchase a separate shelf, which also comes with 4 additional tubes and 4 additional screws. So for example, if you have the dark wood version of the stand, be sure to get the dark wood shelf. So to add the additional shelf, I'm gonna take the Allen key that came included with the stand, and I'm going to loosen up the Allen key screws here on the top of the shelf. Then once all of the Allen key screws are out, I'm just going to remove the top shelf like this. From here, we can start adding the new shelf by taking the 4 additional screws. We're gonna take each screw and line them up to the tubes like this. Next, you're gonna take the new shelf and line it up to the screws like this and feed it through. Then you're gonna take the additional tubes and line them up to the screw holes like this and screw them on. If you didn't want to use the tubes that came included with the extra shelf, you can use any of the leftover tubes that came included with the whole kit. Once you have the tubes set up, you can take your top shelf and line it up to the top of the tubes. Take the Allen key screws and line them up to the top of the shelf. Then use the Allen key to tighten up the screws and lock the top shelf in place. Just like that, we have an additional tier set up to our stand. Now, if you didn't want the additional tier to be as high as this, you can use the tubes that came included with the kit and place them on by following the same exact steps. So hopefully this showed you guys how easy it is to set up your Flex rack stand. But of course, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to our customer support team through phone or email. As always, I'm Perry from Rockville, and we'll see you guys next time.